Hey guys, welcome to Sky Temple. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you around Sky Temple, similar to what I did with Tomb of the Spider Queen, and just give you some tips and tricks, some advice, some places that you might not know about, some little tactics that you might not have otherwise discovered or you might not have known about. So this map, I don't quite know how it works, but underneath it, and then look, it's a magic carpet. Woo! Let's follow the magic carpet. No, come back.
Let your battle.
I've never seen that before. That's awesome. Anyway, so I don't know how it quite works, but this map is apparently above Tomb of the Spider Queen, and there's a little reference to that in the map itself. Let's go and visit it. I'm sure you've all seen this before. This was a massive Easter egg that everyone kind of spoke about and everyone thought was amazing. But if you this little thing here, you see the ropes moving a little bit. If you click it, it starts to shake. Click it enough times. If you click it enough times. Oh, it breaks! Harrison Jones. And magic of it. Bass. And he's off. And the legs come out. Now if you click it afterwards, loads of legs come out. So that's a little reference to Harrison Jones, the World of Warcraft character, and kind of references the similar, I would call it, experience that happens in Tomb of the Spider Queen, where you can click a gem, eventually he'll appear. And we'll steal the gem and we'll flee upwards, and of course this is where he flees to. This is Sky Temple, as I mentioned before. This map is one of the newer maps. I think it's one of the best looking maps, just because of the water that goes around the outside. I think it just looks fantastic. I think it's great. I really like this map. So every so often, as you can see displayed on the maps here, these temples will activate. These temples are kind of like control points. When you stand in them, these runes will light up. Once all the runes are lit up in your team's colour, the shrine will activate, and this thing at the top will shoot an opponent's fort. As you can see, the monsters do disobey stealth. You can't just stand in it as a stealther and just get it for free. These mobs are surprisingly difficult. If you are a soloable hero, you'll probably be able to solo them without too much trouble. Otherwise, you might need a little bit of help, particularly at the low levels. And so just to make sure I don't die, I'm going to flee. But so I'm not entirely sure what the pattern is, but the pattern is the same every single time. I know it goes middle and top is the first one, then bottom is the second one, and then after that I kind of forget it. But it's always the same pattern every single time. And basically, you get a warning 25 seconds, so it's not really that important that you know it because it warns you. And you can hold multiple. You can hold all three of them at once if you want, but then your team's going to be spread very thin. Or you can just hold one of them, and it will shoot the nearest fort of that kind of tier, shall we say. So it will try and take out the top fort. The top one will take out this fort, the middle one will take out this fort, and the bottom one will take out this fort. If two of the forts are dead, but one of them is still alive, all of them will try and take out the fort that's still alive, and then rinse and repeat for the keeps. And once all the keeps are dead, it will shoot the core. One full clip will kill a core at 100% from one of them, I believe. And the last time we checked it, that did just happen, but they have made a few slight tweaks to the core health and shield numbers and regenerates recently. So I think that still works. It takes about, because of the differences in structure, it takes, as you can see, I wasted about half the ammo, just over half the ammo on hitting this fort, and it's done this much damage to it. So they can do a lot of damage to forts very quickly. So as a result, they're very important. You should always try and go for them. They won't aggro to you until you actually stand in the zone. So that's how the map works. There are one really, I would say, easy secured by your team. Mercenary camping is this one up here. It's very difficult for the team to pressure it, especially if you have top or mid fort alive. It's just impossible for them to get it. When you get it, they will push along top lane. The other mercenary camp that's on your side is the siege giants down here. They are not so easy to defend because of the proximity to the enemy side of the map, and because of the boss being here. You'll find that you can snipe theirs and they can snipe yours with relative ease. What that kind of comes down to is knowing the position where your enemies are and knowing where your lanes are shoving, really. So let's talk about little shortcuts, little things about the map that people don't normally realise or understand. Places where you can land skill shots. There's a lot of skill shots in this that can be landed without too much trouble. Places where you can get ganks, places where you can jump along. So a very important thing in this map that a lot of people seem to really overestimate on Blackheart's Bane, really underestimate on this map, is this watchtower. It allows you to basically secure this temple without too much trouble, and it just gives you massive warning of when the enemy are arriving, which is obviously what watchtowers do. But because it's so central, It's almost essential, I would say, to really holding any point around this map easily. Obviously, top is a little bit isolated, but you know how it is. So, top lane, this is how it's laid out, basically. There is no real way to escape, in all honesty. There's no path around the top, there's no path around the bottom. Just to prove it to you, you can't run around up here. You just can't do it. Yeah, there's the only real way to get around if you want to escape down is down, but you don't normally want to be running down because you're in top lane already. Running down will just probably just run you into more enemies. The real ganking positions are going to be through this bush, coming up and around, like coming out of your base if the lane's shoving, coming around here and sitting in this bush, but because of the proximity to the lane, it's very easy for you to get spotted in there. You can come around here and try and get a gank from the bottom, but if you don't control the watchtower, it's going to be very obvious that you're doing that, but that is a very good gank. Unfortunately, if you're not a stealth hero, you are going to take a couple of cannon shots unless you run really, really closely. So if I can put myself out stealth, see how I'm taking cannon shots there. So you can't really chase too far into towers under that circumstance. But other than that, it's a pretty standard lane. A lot of people don't, or rather underestimate how easy it is to follow someone up and kill them. Unfortunately, the cannon's out is here, so if you're really committing to the kill, you have to go right the way around, which can be a little bit of a worry. But I would define this area here as kind of a don't stand in its zone. Zeratools, Novas, and even some other bursty assassins can kill you when you're standing there. So a more safer zone would be up around about this area just behind the fort. This little area down here, the problem with this area around here, I like this kind of stuff. I like this kind of single path channel kind of stuff. But the problem with it is the watchtower reveals all, so you can't really hide there. Remember that if you don't control the watchtower, everywhere around here is going to be exposed. So don't try and sneak around here. It's just very silly. You can land a few skill shots, obviously, through this section, this tiny little section here. So if you know someone's going for the fountain, you can maybe land them with a really long range ability. Other than that, there isn't that much you can do to really secure kills. Let's move on to mid lane. Mid lane, in my opinion, is incredibly scary lane to be in, because as you can see, when the cannon towers are up, you haven't got that much vision, and they can just run in through the bush, and they can get out to here before you can see them, and at which point, there's nowhere to escape, and you can't escape through here, so you have to run all the way down and around, which takes ages. So in other words, if you want to gank someone in mid lane, get behind them by using this bush, and then it kind of screws them up, and then always make a run for here. Don't try and run straight at them, run down here to avoid them getting away. And if they do try and run down here, which you can kind of see straight away, one person can split off, but that can kind of confuse a lot of inexperienced players. So if you are in mid lane, say I'm pushing and I'm here, and all of a sudden I see people running from this direction to try and kill me, or running from up here to try and kill me, I'll come down here. And what I will do if I'm honestly playing Zeratul is I'll either blink to this bush here to try and confuse them, or I'll just blink straight over here and then just get a little bit of distance on them just to kind of confuse them a little bit. But you can, this map, with a few of the kind of random brushes that are about, you can kind of send out a strange blink to kind of lose them. Like you can run down here into the bush, blink over here, and then just kind of get away, and sometimes they won't see you. Sometimes they will, but sometimes they won't. But yeah, it's surprisingly easy to gank mid lane because of the distance in the lane. There's a long way in between the two gates, and there isn't any escape down in the middle of the lane. They have to run around through a side door, which again just means it was very, very easy to gank. Boss, very central, very punishable if you're taking it before you're ready or your team's ready. You'll just get punished for it. They can kind of sneak up on you. I think it's perfect. I think it's really well designed, because if you're tanking the boss here, which is where a lot of teams will do it, if the enemy team is here or anywhere around here, you won't be able to see them, but they'll be able to see you because they can just about see the boss. Like, where's the sweet spot? There. So they can be hiding in the brush and see that you're attacking the boss, because obviously the boss won't be standing here. So it's very, very punishable. If you know they're taking it, try and punish them. The best way to punish them is just kind of trying to get two people coming in from two directions at once. I like having the Diablo or ETC or just any tank coming from this side if you're attacking from this side, and just kind of blowing them up. Other than that, mid lanes, there isn't that much to speak about. It's kind of just standard jungle. This part of the map is incredibly similar to mid lane. It's just kind of scaled slightly differently. Let me just take out these so I don't get hit when I'm trying to explain it. And what a lot of people seem to underestimate is how easy it is to gank someone in bottom lane, and how easy it is to punish someone who overextends. As a result of this, you'll often get specialists in this lane, because anyone who knows what they're talking about, anyone who's really played the map or played the game a lot, will understand it's very easy to punish people in this lane. So there's an Asmodan or Zagara down, or someone who can just hold a lane from far back on their own. Couple of things to be aware about in this lane is this little passage up here you can use to sneak about in. If you're a stealth or you're setting up a gank and you don't want to get spotted, you can use that passage. Using the temple, the either active or inactive temple, to sneak through and get a few nice ganks off. Some people don't check this brush over here. This is incredibly good if you want to escape. If for some reason you get caught and you can make it into this brush and you're Falstad or anyone who's got a blink, you can blink back into your base. It's so good. Doing that is just incredible. Yeah, there isn't that much to talk about in this map, in all honesty, just because this map is very much secure. But if you want to set up a gank in bottom lane, the way I would advise you doing it is, again, getting behind them, coming through this way if you're attacking, and then just try and kill them as they're funneling back towards their own base. If I was attacking in my team, obviously I would come through this way, and then as they retreat, just, you know, kill them, kind of thing. But other than that, it's a pretty standard gank. If you're running away from someone who's ganking you, don't be afraid to use this lane. If you have got an escape, I would advise massively running down and around, just sitting here, just trying to throw them off maybe, and if they do see you, just try desperately to make it into here and then blink back into your base. Obviously I missed it, I don't want to blink into that base, because that's not my base. A couple of really cool things, that if you really find yourself quite out of position, like if I'm being killed and there's no way for me to escape, you can kind of sit into here, and there's loads of different directions you can blink into. You can blink into their base if you want to, you can blink into that brush over there. My personal favourite is normally just to blink there, jump over the wall, and then just run, just keep running for your life. So Falstad can do that, Sylvanas can do that, Zeratul can do that, and a few others that have got, what's the word? Terrain bypassing manoeuvres, I believe is what they were called. So a few things that people don't really anticipate in the late game is this area down here. This area down here is an incredible bottleneck. If anyone is on this part of the map, they're only escaping in one direction, because the chances are the enemy team is attacking them from the other direction. So if you can get ETC here with a Mosh Pit, or Diablo here, or Muradin here, or someone who's got, or like a Phoenix back here, just some form of really powerful zoning tool, it's incredibly difficult for them to deal with it. So if you know you're going to win a fight, or you know you think you might win a fight, or you need to win a fight, pick a fight on this bridge in particular. If you are caught on this bridge, as you can see, there isn't that much you can do to get out of it. Blink doesn't make it, barrel roll doesn't make it. Anubarak's moves, a couple of Anubarak's moves, the burrow charge will make it. But it's a long way, not many moves will make it, and if they are forced to blink anywhere, they're not going to get very far. As you can see, like you just won't get very far. So fighting on this bridge is very good if you have very strong zoning tools. It's normally very good for the defender, purely because the defender normally, with this proximity to the base, is going to have higher health than the attacker. So I wouldn't attack along this bridge for very long. Likewise, if you are here and you're attacking, never retreat along the bridge. Retreat this way. I know it kind of gives you proximity to the fort, but it's much better to do that than to run along the bridge and get caught out by a stray ult and end up dying. Similarly, up top lane, if you find yourself fighting in the kind of not no man's land, but in the kind of space in between fort and keep in top lane, you're gonna want to run, because if you run through here, you're going to get caught, because there's a long way to go, and you end up running into to enemy structures. If you haven't taken out their keep already, they can pick a fight here, but you can get away if you're lucky and you're leading the whole team. But the best way to run away is just straight up down through here, and then through the watchtower, because I'm assuming if you've pushed that far and you have watchtower, and then if you want to, you can kind of set up a turn in the bush or in one of these brushes. Otherwise, you're just going to kind of have to just keep running. A lot of people underestimate the turn in this game for some reason. When you've run that far, the chances are they're not going to be able to see you. Yeah, this is a really cool place. This is a really cool place in mid lane that not a lot of people really understand about. The ability to gank and thus and escape through here. If I was here pushing the enemy's fort, and then I see people coming from any direction, and they commit to this lane, so they are attacking me and they commit to staying in this lane, but I'm really close to the wall, blink. Now, as you see, I didn't blink specifically on this section. I blinked kind of over here. It snapped to this place, so you don't have to be 100% bang on, which is the beauty of this part, in my opinion. And then, of course, you can just run back. If they commit to the charge, they're probably still going to get you, but they'll get you a lot closer to your fort. So you and if they do still chase you and commit, you can just run up here and get away this way, and then they're never going to get you. But that's entirely However you want to deal with it. Similarly, you can set up a gank through here. You can blink right the way across this section. Can you not? I must have mispositioned that. I'm 90% sure you can blink across that section into the brush. It might be... yeah, there you go. But obviously I'm not in the brush yet, but you can, like a few pixels off. You can do it. If you really want to escape hardcore, there is a possibility of doing that. Again, across here, as I said before, you can escape into that. You can also launch skill shots like Hook, if this wall's down, which of course you can deal with very easily, because when this tower gets killed, it's not too difficult to just avoid hitting that entirely. And once that wall's down, it really opens up a kind of a cone around there for you just to launch random skill shots, long range skill shots in, and really punish them for it. I would say this map's one of the most important maps for dealing with walls on, just because walls can really, if you take out the wall along here, you can launch out. This is kind of just talking about Hook, really. I mean, there's Burrow Charge, there's Metamorphosis, maybe a few jump-in moves that you can use, but Hook is going to be your best friend. Obviously, Stitches isn't a very good champion at the moment, so that's not going to be the best champion to pick, but if you do have a Stitches on your team, take out walls, because you're just going to be able to get a lot of hooks that you wouldn't otherwise have got. There isn't that many mercenary camps. The problem that I have with this map is that there's just not that much to do on it. The objectives make up for that. It's very, very fast paced because of the objectives, because once the objectives are up, you have to fight for them. Otherwise you just get completely and utterly wrecked. If the enemy team goes to them and you go unanswered, you just lose all your force and all your keeps and stuff. Don't be afraid to take the boss. Don't be afraid to take the boss after a big push. What tends to happen sometimes is you can have a lot of forts down, you can have won most of the objectives, but you find yourself on the back foot. You have mercenary, a lot of your creeps are being pushed back. You find yourself on the laggy end of things. That's the first time I've seen in a custom game. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. So, yeah, as far as this map goes, I like this map. I think it looks fantastic. I think it could do with a few tweaking. I think it's very balanced. I think that you're going to have a lot more success if you play a very zone denial heavy team, a very zonal team. A team that punishes the enemy team for getting out of position, as opposed to just playing a very bursty team like Nova with Kalthas and Jaina. But again, I suppose they do have quite a lot of zone denial. You see what I mean? Don't underestimate the power of the temples. They do a crap ton of damage. You want to get them as often as possible, and more importantly, you don't just want to let your team get them. There's a lot of situations where you can set up for ganks, because when you're in the lane and you commit to pushing, there's very little ways to escape on every lane. As you can see, there's no escape mid lane and there's a tiny little bit of escape mid lane in top lane. There's no escape mid lane in mid lane, and there's no escape, maybe a tiny little bit like there and there and along here, but there's little to no escape in the middle of the lane in bottom lane either. So punish people when they overextend. That'll be my number one tip for this. Well, two tips: get the objectives, punish people when they get out of position, and always click the thing, because Harrison Jones gets on your team, and then it means that your team just instantly win the game. I love that blink. That's one of the most satisfying blinks ever, because almost everyone expects you to go in here, and when you make it over, they're like, "What? How did you do that?" And likewise, you can blink out like that, which of course just makes them even more confused. So, I think that will be everything. I think the next map I'm going to do will probably be Garden of Terror. I like that map. I like talking about it. I think it's a very, very well engineered map. So, when that happens, if you want it on the map, please let me know. I'll see if I can do it. If you want a specific hero, let me know, and I'll see if I can do it. Other than that, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.